How's it going, everybody? Hey, I'm recording this second devotional for you today under the Reestablishing Truth series that we're going to be doing throughout the summer. Number one, we are going to be defining truth. Number two, we're going to be defining what truth is not. And number three, we're going to have a number of videos which tackle modern day relevant issues in our culture, things that our culture is wrestling with as it pertains to truth. So why don't we begin here? Why don't we begin with a sneak peek into a conversation that Jesus is having with Pilate in John chapter 18, verses 33 to 38. It says the following: Therefore Pilate entered again into the praetorium and summoned Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Are you saying this on your own initiative, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate answered, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests delivered you to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, then my servants would be fighting so that I would not be handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not of this realm." Therefore Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say correctly that I am a king. For this I have been born, and for this I have come into the world, to testify to the truth." Jesus didn't say that I've been born and I have come for this purpose to testify about a truth. He says, I have been born, I have come into the world to testify to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice, Jesus said. And then Pilate asks, I think maybe curiously, but he might even be asking sarcastically. He said in verse 38, "What is truth?" See, Pilate grew up in a day and age in which there were many competing philosophies. He grew up in a pagan society where people believed in all sorts of different types of deities and gods and goddesses, and people worshipped Caesar as God and things of that nature. So it's possible that Pilate was asking this with a bit of sarcasm and a bit of curiosity. We will never perfectly know until we get to heaven the exact tone and the exchange in that scene between him and Jesus. But I think maybe there's a bit of truth to both there. He's being sarcastic. Look, nobody knows what truth is. He's also quite curious because he's interviewing Jesus, and there had to have been something different about Jesus as he's standing before him face to face. You know, truth is something that Pilate would have seen from a cynical standpoint. Truth is something that people typically, aside from God, only pursue for their own selfish desires. If you think about it in Romans chapter 1, verses 25 and 26, it says, "For they," those who rejected God, "for they exchanged the truth of God for what? For a lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this reason, God gave them over to degrading passions." So we see, biblically speaking, that Jesus himself stands for something to be the absolute truth. So let's define truth. Truth is that which conforms with fact or reality. It is genuine, it is objective, it is absolute, it is real, it is consistent with the mind, the will, the character, and the being of God himself. Maybe one could say that truth is not a thing, but truth is bound up in a person. Earlier in John's Gospel, when Jesus said in John 14:6, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me," he was saying that I, in a self-disclosed manner, I am God in the flesh. I am revealing God to you right now. And if you want to know God, you have to know me. I am the way, the truth, the life. I saw a quote this last week which says, "Objective truth is authoritative. It is meant to be applied to every life with the very authority of God. It makes demands, and it does not offer suggestions." Objective truth can even more so be defined as the following: to say something is true for all people of all cultures and ages, even if it's not recognized as true. Meaning, when you declare something as absolutely true, what you're saying is it doesn't matter when you've existed, where you've existed, what age you are, what culture you belong to, it's true even if you don't want to accept it. Truth is something that can only be established by God, because God himself creates reality and he places people into his reality, into his program. In other words, it is not defined by you and me. It is something that we have to recognize, but it's not something that we create. It's something that we discover. For instance, if you are someone who has endeavors in the field of science, just as an academic discipline, you might be able to scientifically discover something that is true, but you cannot create truth for yourself. Absolute truth is something that can only be discovered. Oh, and by the way, absolute truth is moral as well. Absolute truth concerns something like murder or adultery, fornication, lying, theft, greed, slander, coveting. You cannot escape absolute truth. If absolute truth is there, then also moral absolute truth also exists, meaning rape is always wrong, murder is always wrong. Morally speaking, it is not up to the individual. It is something that God has defined as right or wrong. When you think about the aspect of marriage, God says it's between one man and one woman, biologically speaking, with him as the ultimate witness. Truth is something that can't be created, it's discovered, and truth is something that is moral in nature. I hope that I gave you enough in this short video for you today to define truth. If you'd like, rewind a couple of times and look at some other statements that I made. Next, we're going to be looking at what truth is not. God bless. Take care.